was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be linked to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She is magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is now.
Well, greetings and welcome to Access Wealth Nation and your opportunity to get your keys to financial freedom. I am Dr. Yana B. Woodhouse, and I'm here to share some financial information with you. And again, I have a wonderful guest for today to share some information about some upcoming events and what's going on. But before I get started, I got to give my report, my news report. And two things is that we have been going through this pandemic, and especially us in New York. We still are moving slow. I'm even moving even slower. As far as taxes are concerned, our tax date is July the 15th. I know many of you are getting nervous because either you can't find your accountant or your accountant is sick or your accountant is trying to work as hard as they can to get you out on time. I just say from fellow accountants, just be patient and trust your accountant. If they're working, they should be working 24 hours, 7 days a week to make sure that you meet the dateline. If by chance you are one of those that just woke up and said, oh, my taxes are due, well, then I would say to you, you might need an extension. And I'm hoping that the government will be a little bit lenient on you, especially to the New Yorkers, because we've had it rough. For myself, even I've had to try to do taxes remotely out of my office, and it has been quite a challenge. I have never seen anything like this in my 41 years of doing taxes. And it's just a challenge, but we all will make it through. And so what I wanted to just mention also, I have received numerous calls, and I'm a little concerned about what I'm hearing. So I'm going to bring this topic up, and I will open a forum for folks who would like to talk about it. I don't know what it's called nowadays. When I first heard about this kind of, not an investment, it was called an airplane, a butterfly. Now I see it's taking a new flight. It's now called a lotus or a flower and gifting. Okay. I've gotten a number of calls because, my clients know, and all of you out there know that I will be honest with you. Every time we have an economic strain, two things pop up. One is there's always going to be some kind of, for lack of another word, pyramid situation. And then the opportunities that are out there for businesses to bloom, to make money, if you come up with the right idea. So with this program of what I've heard basically called gifting, only thing I can say is that about it, beware, be careful, and be educated. Educate yourself. Now, I, as a mathematician, I will say to you, do the math. Someone will tell you to put from anywhere from $100 to $500 in, and then you got to bring two people who have to do the same thing, that have to do the same thing. And I would say in some respects, people can get in early and get out fast. If you have a consciousness about others, none of those programs really work uh, well for the people who, or if it ever gets stopped. There's nothing that generates income or makes that money grow other than people giving in money. Now, in respects to that, is that if you're really gifting, IRS code states that if you are giving a gift, you have the right to gift up to $14,500 individually to each person per year without paying a gift tax. The other thing with a gift is that you do not expect anything in return. So I'm listening to these programs, and if you're gifting, you are expecting something in return, anywhere from $800 to $4,000. Well, where's that money going to come from? It's coming from other individuals. And so it's constantly rotating. Now, I know people have equated it to um, a susu, which is something that traditionally it is the African American and the African, the in the Caribbean cultures has been a way of where people get a lump sum in their hands at one time, so that they can work with that money because they can't seem to save it on their own, and so they need the little help, And I understand that. Am I in agreement with it? I think you should be more disciplined to be able to do it on your own, but who am I to judge? If you can't do it on your own, I can understand it. And I've had people who have been successful putting money in, but where does that money come from? Well, you're basically putting in the money yourself. You're putting it in and you're getting it back out. If you put in $100 every week, you'll get $5,200 at the end or within the period of depending upon how many people are participating in that susu. I understand that. At least you know where the money's coming from, and no one will get hurt unless somebody drops out. And then if you can find somebody else to be placed in there, that's how that system works, as I understand it. And I have had a clients of mine who have sat me down and explained it to me. I got it. Am I endorsing it? No. But I'm saying if that's what works and it helps you to move forward, amen. I suggest also that you get a financial education so that you get this lump sum, you do something well with it. I've known people who have bought their homes, uh, increased them, paid their mortgages off by that kind of savings program. It was funny, even with the Susu, it was so funny that I went to talk when to a group, a 401k plan that I managed. And one of the people, because it's a cultural thing, heard me mention that if you're putting money into a susu, maybe you would think about putting money into some of the investments like a 401k plan while you're matching it. And the bookkeeper came running to the president of the company and told her I'm selling some type of investment. And so I had to explain to them from a cultural basis, because they were from a different culture, that this was a way of which people are able to save by putting little monies away at a time. Okay, now let's get back to this gifting thing. Where's the money coming from? You got to keep giving. Somebody got to keep giving. And if somebody stops giving, what? Where's the money going to come from? That person put $500 in. They're expecting to get their $4,000 out. And I will dig deeper into this system and see what's going on. And also, open call to anyone who wants to discuss it with me. I'll welcome that. But for now, I tell folks, buyer beware. Realize that it's not a situation of a guarantee. I remember I had clients of mine who got involved and it didn't continue because the attorney general came in, and I don't be weary, but I'll put you on alert. Our attorney general, she's phenomenal here in New York, and she's got her eye on it. The thing is that right now with this pandemic, all this stuff is going around her because she does have to focus in on what's happening to people right now and with the Black Lives Matters movement. But I would say people need to beware that you're putting money in and getting that type of return for it. There's some questions there. What about capital gains? What about gift tax? You know, these are the questions I have, and I would say those are the questions you need to ask. And what happens if it closes down before you get your money? Before you, I've saw one where you start off as you get to be the water, and then you're fire first, then you're the water. You know, I'm hearing all of these things. They're wonderful. I've heard it before. You were the pilot of the plane. You were the passenger. You were the stewardess. That was about in the 80s. But you were the wings. You were the center of the butterfly. You know, whatever they call it. The bottom line is, if you're giving money into a program and it is to grow and make you money out of it, there's certain tax ramifications. If it is a gift, then let it be a gift. A gift means I'm giving it to you, and I'm not worried about getting anything in return for it. Be clear, to check IRS laws. Do not take people's word for it. Don't take even my word for it. I tell you all, when I give you an idea, you should definitely check me on it, you know. And so I also say to you, those of you who know we have our How Money Works book, Stop Being a Sucker. And we will be giving some classes coming in the future about the How Money Works, Stop Being a Sucker masterclass. And if you want a book, you can have a book, no problem. All you have to do is contact me either through Anaj Enterprises Inc. at gmail.com, or you can go to my website, Anaj Enterprises.com. And either one of those, you can click the button on the website for Anaj Enterprises .com, and you can get a book. And I say, once you get the book, read the book. The book will lead you into understanding some fundamentals of about interest rates, growth, how money works, and then possibly if you want a financial needs analysis. We don't need to be secret agents and not knowing what we need to do for our future. And we will be discussing soon. I'm going to have a session on Social Security because this is becoming a big question. I'm taking in your questions as you send them to me, saying you want to hear more on. And so we'll be talking, having some shows on the different topics you've shared with me: retirement, planning for children's education, student loans. So as we go along this journey with Access Wealth Nation, we will address a lot of items and information regarding finance, how to understand how money works. That's so important. So that being said, you're welcome. I'm looking forward, you know, I'm an open person to helping because our community, especially the urban community, has a different way of handling money. Now, one thing for sure is that we know how to make money and we definitely know how to spend money. The key is that we need to know how money can work for us. Make your money work for you. So that's very, very important. So I have an open forum to listen, you know, because there's more ways to earn money and make money. But I just say beware because during these times, people are in a very tough situation and they're looking for something to make some money with, especially since we've had over 43 million individuals who are unemployed right now. And that's the ones that they're counting that are unemployment. Remember, there's a whole group that are starting to fall off because they have run out of their 26 weeks. And so we are at the point that we've got to reorganize and reassess how we're going to enhance our community, you know. And so that's so important in enhancing our community. My tagline I always use is no community left behind. That's very important. And so, in saying that, I have a special guest today. And there is a community that has a tendency to be left behind. And one of it has to deal with the artist community. Now, many of you, we look at our children and we see they can sing, not sing, sing, and and we know that they may be having some acting qualities. We look and we see they're going to be the next Denzel, um, but there's more to this, and it's more to the industry. And so today I have the honor of having a special guest who is in the artist community, and she's been a dear friend of mine. We have gone back and forth, and working with each other. And I work with a lot of artists because we never know when that one day will come that you blow up so big, and that's when everybody comes around. Nobody comes around when you're around struggling. And then they got the nerve to say that you're an overnight success and you've been doing it for 10, 20 years. And but you're an overnight success. So with that, I'm going to introduce my guest. I hope y'all are excited as I am. I truly, I'm gonna say it, I love her dearly. And I want you to know that she is a powerful artist. This young lady, I tell you, my clients, I had the little antidote is that my clients, when they perform, I'm like their second mom because when I see them either on TV or they're in a play, some of them have banned me from going to their plays because I'll stand up and give them a standing ovation because they are work. I know how hard they work, and how much they have struggled and sacrificed to make it to the top. So this young lady holds a special part in my heart because we've been working with each other for a long time. But in addition to it, she has worked with some great artists. She was mentored by someone that we all loved and now miss, Prince. She has worked with Nancy Wilson. Some of the others I've read what she's done, Cyndi Lauper. She's been noted on many TV shows. For the NAACP Awards, she was nominated 3 times. She was a winner of the Best Independent Artist for BET. She also was the Best Artist for Soul Train Awards. She was one of the winners. This woman is phenomenal. I remember when I saw her on Saturday Night Live with Prince, and I hated that I had to delete it finally from my DVR because I just loved hearing her sing in her beautiful white attire. And so, with no further ado, I'd like to introduce to you and open the session of Access Wealth Nation to Miss Liv Warfield. Hi there. There's Liv. Welcome, Liv. Now I'm not hearing Liv. Matt, what's happening?
Can you hear me now?
I got you. There you
Yay!
go. How you doing, girl?
I'm good. How are you? You look gorgeous, Yana.
Oh, thank you so much. You too. I just love you.
Thank you. Thank you. And I love you too, Yana. For real.
We've gotten through. So we're going to be doing, just to note, we're doing a session. Now, Liv, you have the Independence Artists at Work group.
Yes.
And so Liv has asked me to do a presentation for the artist group, and we're calling it Your Key to Financial Freedom. Yeah, that's the flyer, beautiful flyer. You can access it. It's going to be July the 7th at 8 p.m. On the Soul City Facebook, and I believe it's going to be on the Independent Artist at Work channel for Instagram. I'm learning about Instagram. It's taking me a
Yeah.
little time.
Yeah, on my IG Live. Yep.
Okay. All righty. It's on the what line?
It's IG Live, Instagram Live.
Instagram Live. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Mhm.
Work with me. This baby boomer is coming into the new century. I'm working.
Yeah.
So, Liv, tell me about what's going on and why did you think it was necessary for this topic to come to the artist?
Well, I created Independent Artist at Work because I feel like a lot of artists, we struggle in the very beginning. We're so excited to get the music out. We're so excited to be creative. But then there's that other piece, just like you said, like you could blow up, you could get a million streams, and oh my God, you wake up and you get a mailbox check, as we call it, for, let's say, I don't know, your first check could be $70,000, and then
Mm,
you're new at this. A lot of times artists fail because they don't know how to manage their money. They don't know where to put their money. And a lot of the times I feel like um even I don't know, like some of the workspaces do not feel as artists kind of it being a job. It's not like what we do is a job, but it is recognized as a form of work. And a lot of us, we get kind of lost in, I don't know, we get lost in how to manage our money. We get lost in copyright. We get lost in all of
mm.
these things. So I wanted you to kind of help talk about that and to kind of guide us, because we don't, a lot of us don't have a lot of guidance. We just love what we love. We love performing. We love what we do, but then there's this other side. And sometimes a lot of us, 9 times out of 10, aren't taught credit, aren't taught all of these things. And then as artists, where to put your money, because we are going to be getting older, right?
Hey,
So am I going to be saving money? By the time I'm 70, Lord knows I'd love to sit on a chair at a jazz club and keep singing. But when I go home, do I still have money to take care of myself later at the end of the day? So that's why I created this. And not solely that, but mentorships, and also programs and events and stuff, just to kind of guide the up and coming artists, from ages 8 up. You know what I mean? We all, like, I'm still always in a learning process.
mm.
But I also feel like, I think it's just one of those key components that gets lost. And so I think this is one of the foundational parts that just needs to be worked on before we step into it any further as being artists.
I think you're so right. Most of the time I get to artists and they're in trouble. They've
Yeah,
got some kind of problem.
yeah,
And I would love to get to them before we get to the trouble stage because it's
right.
true. Years back, and I had artists who were actors working on Broadway. And
Mm,
years ago, they used to have a 1099, which meant they just got their money.
right.
And unfortunately, they just were like, okay, well, I'm good, and then
Yep,
find out later, here comes Uncle Sam knocking on the door in the state and the different states that you worked in. They come for you.
right.
And they're like, but I thought that was all taken care of by my manager. And it's like,
Mhm,
no, that's not
mhm.
how it works. You need an infrastructure system. You
Yes.
need a good accountant, a
Mhm,
financial advisor, and then a good attorney to make sure
mhm.
that things don't get too funky when those contracts come through.
Correct.
And a lot of artists think they're not worthy of doing that or can afford it. And that's one of my passions is to make sure that they can. That's why I develop a team of people who all over the country are able to serve my clients and potential clients who are in the artist world.
Right.
I think that's very important. And the other part is, do you have any idea why they don't they don't help you guys even once you get to stardom? Because we have folks, we know our beloved Prince had a tax issue. We had
Mhm,
also Red Fox. I mean, we can go
mhm.
Peebo Bryson. We have had so many where IRS all of a sudden they've arrived, which is wonderful. But then here comes IRS pounding on their door, and I'm like, well, where's the accountants? What happened? Why are they not working with these people?
I think it's just kind of one of those issues to where artists, we get the development on stage, we get all of
Mhm.
everything else that we need, but it's that other side of it that just gets overlooked. I could go really deep into the whole industry, and I feel like now, because it's changed so much over the years, and as far as record labels and record execs, we all know that it is a big money industry. So I am very, very supportive of artists being very independent. There's nothing wrong with partnering with a major label. I'm totally down for that. But I feel like if you're going to be independent, at least you're looking out for yourself.
Mhm.
You're solely looking out for yourself. Um, whether you have a manager or not, I feel like you as an independent need to be equipped with all of the information besides your manager knowing it, because 9 times out of 10, a lot of artists are looking for their manager to kind of help them and explain to that, like help them out and get these roles. But those roles aren't always, it just doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's managers that love, but then there's a other component that's like, oh no, you have to, you can create your own business, you can create your own LLC. You need to put this money away to save this money, because you do need to pay your taxes, or you need to know that for yourself and be equipped for that. And I feel like what I'm offering up and what I could do is just give people these tools, these necessary tools as artists, because we all want to be independent. The industry has changed so much. It's streamed.
And you say that it changed because is it that now artists are becoming more independent instead of working or being under a contract directly with that it or that
Absolutely.
that's what's happening right
I,
now?
I feel like there's so many artists that we can't even sift through half the time. Like Spotify. Like there's so many artists, right? Building brands because of the social component, the Facebooks, the Instagram. There's so many amazing artists, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's amazing influencers also as well
Mm-hmm.
too. So I feel like it's so huge, it's so vast now. And the way to make money through streaming is quite fast as well.
Mm.
We're not equipped, I feel, to handle how fast it comes. You make the money fast. Like imagine, like even now I'm studying the simple fact of like YouTubers, how much money YouTubers are making.
Mm.
Like blows my mind because the money comes so fast. And as fast as the money comes, the fast as the money goes. You know,
That's That's
it does.
true. It's just learning some of, and what we're going to talk about on Tuesday is
Yeah.
I'm going to bring those factors in, the things that you need to do to set up your financial shop, your home base, and I'm glad you brought up the element about the business structure because it was interesting. Broadway right now is paying W-2 forms, and they're paying them directly to the actors. And I have a problem with that because I know the reason why they're doing it is to make sure that they don't wind up not paying taxes. And labor laws have now come about saying that if you are due to work at a certain period, at a certain time, you're now an employee. But then that and especially for young folks, I know we know Social Security will be here in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what shape or form that's going to be. And so, yes, how do you prepare for your own retirement? You know, and
Right.
and I think that's so important. If you gain a lot of money, should you have the money come through your own corporation, even as opposed to being a independent or what they call a DBA, a doing business as. I understand these are the because I'm looking at it from the standpoint, like you said, the industry has changed.
Hmm.
And so we've got to change with it. We've
Right.
got to
Right.
be prepared. And it's not just the artists, it's all of us who work independently because we want
Hmm.
freedom. You
Yeah.
know, you want some freedom. You want to be able to, and especially you want power over your work. You
Hmm.
give your work to people. This is your heart, your soul. and you deserve to be paid for it. And yes, I'm hearing stuff like, it was funny. I was watching what was it? To Tell the Truth, and this woman was
Yeah.
making $15,000 a month or a week or so on pictures of her cat. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, but then now you got to set up a business for that because you're
Mm-hmm.
receiving this money. And like you
Mm-hmm.
said, it comes in, but it can go out as fast if
Yeah.
you don't know what you're doing with it. You know, you think that those residuals. And so I've got a question for you because this is interesting. You're bringing up this new wave. People are getting paid on like YouTube, but how does BMI and them play into that?
I BMI licensing, I get any song played on any radio, even performances, even me, let's say, doing a stage performance somewhere, you always get some form of publishing fee, or however it's breaking down in percentages. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
It's real
That you
small.
right. So all of that, and it adds up. It's kind of like sometimes you don't know. For some artists, sometimes you don't know if your song had got licensed. You come home, you hit the mailbox, and it's $30,000, and you're like, "What?" They licensed my song, so BMI keeps track of where the song is played, radio play, if it gets played on TV. So that that's through publishers. So it's so much as artists, and I'm one of them. I hate paperwork. I
Yes, I
hate
know that.
paperwork. I hate it. I hate having to keep up with it, but it's one of those things that you have to look at it. You know what I mean? And I feel like a lot of artists, again, we just want to create. We don't want to have to think about all of these other things. So with BMI, you come home, you get this check, you're like, "Oh my God." And then you still have to break down, itemize everything. Because once you get the check, you're like, "Okay, oh my God, maybe the $30,000 is mine." But no, honey, you got to give it to the state. You have to break it all down. And I feel like that's where a lot of us, or a lot of artists, get lost, is because you're thinking about the now when you
Yeah.
see that. And you also see how hard you worked, so you're excited, and you see the money come in, right? But then you're like, "Okay, man, I can buy a new microphone, and maybe I could buy all of these things start coming through, but you're not checking the other priorities first before you
Right.
go get a mic, or before you go get these other things, because it will catch up. And 9 times out of 10, most artists make these mistakes. They just do. And again, I'm glad we're going to have this forum and this talk and this workshop next week. It's because I feel like a lot of artists don't really talk about it. And if you
Hmm.
get out in front of it, you get the tools to, like, okay, this is what I got to start doing. 2020 has been like to us right now. So I'm
Yeah.
praying that 2021, let's set the foundation. Let's get ourselves straight. So in these urban communities, these young kids, that we can start valuing our wealth more. As African Americans, we have to value our wealth. You know what I mean? I want generational wealth, not only for myself, but for my comrades. So yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. You brought up a great topic, and also anybody who has any questions for Liv or on our topic, or want to make a statement regarding artists, because I know some of you are out there. Uh, you can definitely share. I think, and Liv, how does one become part of your organization?
It's all you have to do is sign up. The website will be coming soon. So independentartistatwork.com. On Monday, people will be able to sign up and go to the website and sign up and get more information. Not only will the workshop happen, but events will start circulating. Not only is it the financial component, but it's also artist development component. It's also learning how to write, learning how to, copyright, trademarks.
Oh, that's very important.
So
Definitely. There was a question, I'm trying to find it. Okay. How many artists do you think actually have like trust or businesses that handle their business?
that's interesting. I think it's a small percentage. to be quite honest with you. I think it's a very small percentage. Again, I feel like artists are very excited, um, and they handle some of their business themselves most of the time, and that's okay. But then sometimes there are things that you miss. And another thing is artists actually getting LLCs or business or incorporating? Like, I feel like that's a big thing because not only are you an artist, but merchandising comes into play. You
Very
have your
good.
own, you know, and that could build, that's another huge revenue stream that again artists could make so much money on, because this is our livelihood. This is how we live, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
don't
that's so important. What you brought up is that do they incorporate? Because a lot of people, and this is not just artists, but everybody, they go run out because Joe the elevator man said go get an LLC. you know, and
so
I'm like,
true.
my
Yeah,
first question is always, okay, so how are they taxed? What happened?
yeah.
And if you're a sole member, then you're basically the same as a Schedule C. You're a sole member. So you need to sort of strategize between that, and we'll throw that out at the webinar that we're doing. The seminar, we're going to talk about the differences between, a sole proprietorship to being a corporation or an S corp. How do you protect yourself? And really, how do you protect yourself from someone suing you? Because just like you said, this year for artists is basically a wash.
A lot.
A lot of artists are on they're doing, what is it, Instagrams and stuff. They're just putting their artistry out there because they want to
Mhm.
keep, alive.
Yeah, of
But
course.
yeah, but they can't do a concert, and I know Soul City has some great ideas of how they can do concerts still virtually. And
Mhm.
because I know the president of and CEO of Soul City Matt McCoy has always said, you artists, y'all got to get tired. You're
Mhm.
going on tour and you're always
Mhm.
on tour, you know, and we got to go find you. We, as your professionals that work with you, have to go out and find where you at now. What
Mhm.
country are you in?
Right.
It'd be so nice if y'all could stay home,
Right.
and still make money.
Right.
Says, okay, this question is, how do we get Black artists to employ Black professionals to handle their business?
That's
Mm.
really great. Just great question. I really think it's the job of the artist to seek it. I feel like because now we are now in this woken state right now, um, in this movement of even outside of America, I think now we've just been kind of not necessarily sleep, but a lot of us have probably just been dependent on somebody outside of our race that don't know that there are Black professionals that do taxes, that do all these other things. You know what I mean? It's sad, Yana, but it is on the artist to seek that. You know what I mean? Especially if you're a black artist, you should want to seek that. I mean, hello, Black Wall Street. Let's get that movement going. You know what I mean? It's on us to be able to support small businesses. It's our responsibility really to be able to give that trust to somebody else, you know. So I think it's important. I think it's super important that we have that responsibility to do that.
Well, I truly agree with you. It's like, of course, being an accountant and investment advisor, and I tell my clients, I said, y'all got two in one. You can't beat this.
Listen.
No, but I that too is my heart and soul is that, there's been some stigmas out there that certain cultures are better handling money than we are. Well, I'm going to put it out that we're better because we understand you. We
Mhm.
have lived with you. We have walked the path with you.
Mhm.
We understand. I remember being on Wall Street, and one of my colleagues came over and said, I don't know, Yana, what's with your folks? And I was like, here
Mhm.
he goes again. And he says,
Right.
because y'all got this thing talking about you got to borrow from Peter to pay Paul. Who in the world is Peter and Paul? I was like,
Mhm.
Lord have mercy. Something as simple as that. I said, it can't be just us who say
Right.
that,
Of course.
but
Yeah.
he didn't understand. I said, well, you got too much month, then
Mhm.
you got
Mhm.
money. So you got to
Yeah.
figure out whether Peter or Paul is getting ready to be paid. He says,
Yeah.
that's not going to work. I said, okay, you turn those clients back to me. I can
Yeah.
help, you know, because then
Yeah.
I can teach how to budget, you know.
Mhm.
And again, I ask this question to you is that this industry that you're in, this is your livelihood, your career. What is it that you do, or how do you handle, or what would you advise folks? Because I have advice on how to deal with the feast and the famine, because
Mm.
y'all got feast and then y'all got some famine going on. It's like you said, you can open up the box and there is a $50,000 check,
Yeah.
and then the next time you open it up is 4 cents.
It's that's the reality. I mean, and that's the thing. There's so many facets I think to this because again, as an artist, you can build your company, right? You might just not be a singer or a songwriter. You might have be a fashion stylist on the side. You might have all these other elements to what you do, right? And I
Mhm.
feel like you can take those things if you can brand them, make money from them. I feel like that's the important for you to have a business. You are independent. You are solely independent. You know what I mean? So you don't
Mhm.
have these record labels and borrow. I mean, you're going to need help, but you're not signing your life away to a million and more, when it could be done totally different and not even for a million. Like social media and what we have now has cut that cut that price in half.
That's
And it
that little parasite that gets everything that, it's interesting because I've had artists that, they're going on tour and we're supposed to get this big check to work with, and by the time we get it, we look at it because they got all of these things that they've added on where, okay, well, they needed limousine. They needed to come up because there are certain shows that you have to arrive in a limousine. Okay, but the limousine only went a block.
yeah,
Okay, and then you got charged $10,000 for the
absolutely.
limousine to come up
Absolutely.
the block, and I'm like,
Absolutely.
okay. And I've gone to bat because I'm like, how in the world could you spend $10,000 on a block? We're not paying that, but
Yeah.
you need to be able to have someone fight for you or you fight for yourself. Okay. The
Correct.
question came up. We know that Prince and Aretha didn't have wills. Are artists paying attention to their legacy outside of the stage?
Interesting.
Mm.
That's really great. um I don't really know. Like I can't speak to Aretha or Prince's situation at all. I would never. But I
Mm-hmm.
also that again, a lot of artists get stuck into a lot of people not paying it, like handling affairs and them not paying attention to anything, like just to anything. Like one thing that I can agree with Oprah is like, man, you have to sign your own checks. Hey, like you need to sign them. You need to see it. You need to, I mean, you need to be accountable and see everything for yourself. And
I
I important. I think now the younger generation is they're kind of understanding it, but I still don't think that that message gets across, Yana. I don't think that it gets across enough to what we're responsible. Like we're really solely
Yeah.
responsible,
You need
because
to, definitely. I agree with you, because we see it. As a matter of fact, a lot of insurance companies have done their advertisement based on, and when they throw the names up, they leave out, though it's quite interesting, they leave out Elvis, who didn't have a will either. And
right.
Elvis' estate wound up owing over 73% in estate tax. They leave
Mm,
him out. but they will talk about Prince. They will talk about Aretha. They throw those names, Red Fox, and I'm like, well, there was some other folks, that didn't have. And I think that what you're doing is so important because we can talk to that fact that
Mhm.
yes, okay, you've got these residuals and
Mhm.
they're going to come. And residuals will come whether you're alive or dead. They're
Mhm.
still coming.
Mhm.
So yes, you do have to prepare. I tell my reps as they're going into this financial service industry, and I said, we make money, but you've got to also prepare to make sure that you've got your accounts ready to receive the money. Well,
Right. Right.
you are a singer and an artist, and I don't want to be remiss because I got to bring this up is that you had two albums now, right, that have come out, have both
Mhm.
albums. Mm-hmm. And you've been here on concerts that you didn't bother to tell your accountant that you were in
Oh.
town. But but I'm not gonna hold that against
Oh.
you. I paid for my ticket. I just
Oh.
want to see you.
You're fine.
But the one of them was entitled, and the first one that came out. Oh, okay. I see where this was wonderful. That what's his name? The oh goodness, I'm reading all your accolades. And Letterman said that you ought to know this artist, and I do believe you should know. You've got to look. No, live Warfield. Live. You got to
Oh.
live to live.
Ah.
you
Oh.
know.
Mhm.
But you had okay. Did the album First Things First? Did that come
Uh,
out?
the first album was called Embrace Me, and
Ah,
then the second one is The Unexpected, which Prince executive produced that one, and then the First Things First album is an album I did with Nancy Wilson of Heart. So I did that, which was really 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 cool experience. So yeah. Hmm.
you have had some wonderful experience, girl. Okay, there's a question here. Is there a Black owned credit union set up, or do you think that is something artists would support?
Think artists will support it.
You do.
Um, I know some Black owned credit unions where I live. There's maybe like two, and I can't remember. But I actually applied to this app called Black Wall Street. Yeah,
Mm.
Black Wall Street app, and it should show in every location where you could find Black banks, Black owned businesses in your
Oh,
in your area, wherever your
really?
area is.
It's an
Yeah,
app?
it's an app called Black Wall Street.
Okay,
It's really
so we need to
cool.
definitely promote that. Okay, are most artists covered with an insurance policy in case
Mm,
they can't perform anymore?
that's a great question because I'm not even insured. I couldn't
We're
even
gonna
have
take care of that.
like even though that was see, this is how I'm learning because I didn't even know that was a situation. So please, like I no, I don't even know about that.
We'll take care of that. We're gonna
Okay.
we're gonna take care of you, sweetie. We got time. Okay, at what point is search for a financial planner? At what point as they're coming in, do you think that they need to have a financial planner?
I think when you put a record out, not even a record, a song.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a whole album. Like any songs could blow up. Any people use your music for commercials. I mean, anything. And you just do not know at any time, at any place when this song can blow up. I mean, imagine, let's just say TikTok, for example,
Okay.
or the Lord, I hate to use this as an example, but the sister, you about to lose your job, right?
Yeah.
You feel
Who
me?
expected?
Who expected that? So is that as soon as she probably went and finally looked on Instagram or something like that and was like, "Ooh, girl, do you know people are taking this song and there? Go find you a financial planner ASAP. Go
Mm-hmm.
find you an attorney ASAP."
Yeah, you're
Because
right.
that one time in your life that blow up was for the moment and you could have made $500,000 from what you just did, and people are playing it all over. Go find you Yana Woodhouse, Dr. Woodhouse.
Hey, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Definitely. Okay, so where do most artists go for information? That's one of the reasons I think why Liv is putting her group together. And would that be a good venue for sharing this kind of information? Okay, so where do any is there any program, because you're setting up this group, which I think is awesome. I commend you. I commend you. I commend you because
Thank
independent artists at work. I think that's phenomenal idea. I think you're going to get a plethora of artists coming in. But are there any organizations? I know there was at one point SAG had something, but they weren't. They were teaching how to balance a checkbook. I was like, okay, I'm done with you. You know? SAG and AFTRA. But are there any organizations out there for artists? I think that was basically the question, where most artists could be informed.
I just think that BMI, or if you're part of ASCAP, I feel like they have information. It's always surfaced. A lot of this stuff is surfaced because they probably want you to handle it yourself. Okay. But
Mm.
I feel for us, we need to create these spaces. Like, I think the other part of the question was, is there a venue? We need to create the spaces. And now, since venues are closed, I would have loved to be setting up a workshop with you, Yana, or an event to create the spaces to talk about it. Like, you talk about your Jay-Z's and Diddy's, who are part of the Billionaire Club, will give us the information, feed us the information on how we can create generational wealth for all of us. Like,
That's right.
show us some of those skills, because we need to know. Like, it's
Mhm.
nice that you have all these things and you're kind of showing us as having a business mind, but we need to be educated and equipped with this information. So
Oh, definitely. I agree with you. And they don't share, and that's a real problem. That's one I have. So I agree with you. I think what you and I were doing together on this session, and I hope we do more sessions.
yeah.
A matter of fact, I have one of my dear friends who's an artist, Lynette Freeman, who's an awesome actress and artist. She just said, I'm joining this group. I
Yeah.
need to join this group.
Oh, that's
But
fantastic.
so there's going to be some of my clients I'm going to push for them, because I think that that's what's needed. It needs to be a support group, and it needs to be where information is exchanged, because it's not exchanged. Uh, the That's one of the major problems out here is that people get to a certain level, and I've had clients who have gotten to a certain level, and the marketing group or the ownership changes up and carts them away from me, because I don't want them to lose their opportunity, so I let them go. But they have this whole group. They got a lawyer, they got a financial advisor, they got an accountant, and they package them and they take them away and say that we'll handle the money. And you said something key, is what Oprah said, and I say it too. Handle your money. Watch what they're doing. You can let them manipulate if you want to, but you go check the books. If you're
Yeah.
not sure, hire somebody to come look and watch your back. Because right now, I know, I love you too. That's Lynette. Um, but I would say is that watch your back, because of the fact is that there are so many things and so many components, and people, like you said, you want to be able to sit on that stool at the ripe old age of 80,
Yes.
and cross your legs and sing a little song, and you be all right, and you go home, and everything's paid for, everything's all right. And we're going to do that for you, Liv. I know that, through our Wealth Nation and Anaj Enterprises, I got you. And I got
Yes.
all my artists, because you'll know how I love you and I care for you and I respect the arts. And
Yeah.
so it's so important that you have a support system. And I think that truly, yes, I think this was just a wonderful idea that you created. Okay. Someone says, oftentimes Black artists get signed to a deal and they sweep them away to white attorney. Yes, they do. That does happen. And I've seen it. I've had it happen to me where I had my client, I had them nurtured from day one. And I think though now artists are more aware, and so they're more conscious that no, you can't take my accountant from me. You can take everybody else, but you can't take my account.
Right.
you know, and
Yes.
so that's so important. So we're gonna come to a close, but this has been wonderful. Liv, I love you. I love what you're doing. We've got all of you who are listening. Please note that July the 7th, and it's at 8 p.m. We're going to be on Soul City Network on Facebook, but we also are going to be on Instagram, Independent Artists at Work. There's the flyer. You can also, if you can't remember this, you can always contact me at Anaja Enterprises Inc. at Gmail. If you have questions about the organization, Liv, how do they get in touch with the organization?
They can either go to Instagram or contact me, or you can go to Liv Warfield, Liv Warfield page. And most of the time I put everything on my page connected to the Independent Artist at Work page. So they can either way.
Great. We just need to know, look, wherever you go search. If you can't find it, Google it. Okay.
Yep.
you
Yep.
you can find us and be there. Be there for this, because we are going to talk about how artists can protect themselves. And I know it will be informative, even though I'm the person doing it. I know it'll be informative. It'll be great for you.
Yes.
Everybody's loving this, Liv. Thank you
Oh,
so much for being a guest on my Access Wealth Nation. And so I look forward to the new Liv coming out again,
yeah.
and showing. And when you do shows, you let me know, because I will announce it. I'm your favorite #1 fan.
Thank you.
so, so you let me know, and we will talk about all that you're doing. But I think this group and this artist group is going to be phenomenal and off the chain. So you guys who are out there that are artists or budding artists, you watch that. Go to livewarfieldofficial.com and be there on Tuesday for our event. And Liv,
Yes.
thanks again. Thank you for
Thank
coming on. And I thank all of you for attending Access Wealth Nation with Dr. Yana B. Woodhouse. Thank you so much for watching and the questions. I appreciate you all. And let's make sure we get a checkup from the neck up and make sure that we're ready to be financially free. Take care and have a good night. Bye.
She was told that she couldn't play with the boys. She was told that they were too big, too rough, too strong. She was told to give up her dreams and move on. She was told to just be pretty, be quiet, be a lady. She was told that women had to stay on their side of the court, stay in your lane. Playing and competing with men was insane. She was told that men and women would never be equal. Dreaming like that would only be linked to your mind, to your soul. She never listened. She knew that their thinking was old. She was magic. She is the definition of spirit. She is what champions are made of. She is